For decades, America relied on a manufacturing advantage that helped keep factories running, vehicles affordable, and supply chains stable. Now that advantage is under growing pressure. Canadian aluminum is increasingly finding new customers in Europe, while tariffs, rising costs, and geopolitical tensions are reshaping the flow of critical resources. What began as a trade dispute is becoming a battle over who controls the materials that power modern industry. Welcome back to your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit. In today's video, we'll break down the developments that could affect automakers, truck buyers, manufacturers, and consumers for years to come. Number 5. North America's aluminum empire built on Canada. For decades, aluminum symbolized one of North America's most successful industrial partnerships. The United States provided massive manufacturing demand, while Canada supplied large volumes of aluminum powered by abundant hydroelectric energy. That advantage was especially visible in Quebec, home to 9 of Canada's 10 primary aluminum smelters, with the 10th operating in Kitimat, British Columbia. The arrangement benefited both economies. Canadian producers supplied the metal, while American factories turned it into vehicles, aircraft, electrical systems, beverage cans, and countless industrial products. By 2024, Canada exported roughly 13.4 billion Canadian dollars worth of aluminum, with more than 94% heading to the United States. Yet America's own smelting capacity steadily declined, creating a growing dependence on imported aluminum. But dependence rarely becomes a concern until the rules of trade begin to change. And that's exactly what happened next. Number 4. Trump's tariffs, the shift nobody expected. The relationship began changing when aluminum tariffs altered the economics of cross-border trade. The United States imposed a 25% tariff on Canadian aluminum in March 2025, and later increased it to 50% in June. The goal was to encourage domestic production and reduce foreign dependence. Instead, Canadian producers started expanding into other markets, with Europe emerging as a major destination. Reports showed EU-bound shipments rising sharply after the tariffs took effect, while Canada's share of total U.S. aluminum imports declined significantly. Europe's interest was easy to understand. Canadian aluminum offers a lower carbon footprint thanks to hydroelectric power. As trade uncertainty increased, producers diversified their customer base, creating new pricing pressures for American manufacturers. But as Canadian aluminum became less dominant in the U.S. market, American buyers had to find new suppliers, and that solution brought an entirely new set of risks. Number 3. America's backup plan runs into trouble. With Canadian aluminum becoming more expensive and less dominant in the import mix, U.S. buyers increasingly turn towards suppliers in the Middle East. Nations such as the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Oman gained importance within America's aluminum supply network. The problem is geography. Much of this trade depends on the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical shipping choke points. Any disruption can affect not only energy markets but also aluminum, alumina, and bauxite shipments. For automakers, higher aluminum costs can raise vehicle production expenses. Aerospace firms face sourcing concerns, while beverage can manufacturers and defense contractors worry about long-term supply security. Meanwhile, a proposed $4 billion Oklahoma smelter remains years away from delivering meaningful production capacity, leaving import dependence firmly in place. Yet the aluminum story doesn't stop with North America or the Middle East. While the United States searches for alternatives, Europe is pursuing a very different strategy. Number 2. Europe rushes in, securing Canada's resources. The aluminum story is part of a much larger trend. Europe is increasingly seeking long-term access to strategic resources, and Canada is becoming a key partner. After relying heavily on American LNG following the Ukraine conflict, European leaders began pursuing greater diversification. A major milestone came in May 2026 when Germany's CFA agreed to purchase 1 million tons of LNG annually from the proposed Sims LNG project in British Columbia for up to 20 years. The project could eventually produce around 12 million tons annually. Beyond LNG, Canada is positioning itself as a supplier of aluminum, uranium, potash, critical minerals, hydrogen, and rare earth elements, strengthening its role in Europe's long-term resource strategy. Before we get to the number 1 development, take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to Piston Pundit. It helps us bring you more in-depth coverage of the automotive industry, global supply chains, and the trends shaping the vehicles we drive every day. Because while governments negotiate trade deals and resource contracts, the biggest question for many viewers is simple. How does all of this affect the vehicles sitting in our driveways? Number 1. The aluminum squeeze hits vehicle buyers. For automakers, aluminum is no longer just another industrial metal. It has become a critical material used throughout modern vehicle design. Manufacturers depend on it to reduce weight, improve fuel economy, boost towing capability, and enhance performance. Pickup trucks, SUVs, crossovers, EVs, and commercial vehicles all use significant amounts of aluminum. Ford's aluminum-bodied F-150 remains one of the best-known examples. While electric vehicles rely heavily on aluminum for battery enclosures, structural components, wheels, and thermal management systems. As aluminum costs rise, production expenses can increase. Automakers may absorb some costs initially, but over time, higher material prices can influence vehicle pricing, manufacturing decisions, and long-term investment strategies across the industry. And that's what makes this story much bigger than aluminum alone. Verdict: the resource war, only just beginning. The latest picture is becoming increasingly clear. America still has access to aluminum, but the advantages it once enjoyed are facing new pressure. Tariffs, higher premiums, geopolitical uncertainty, and Europe's growing appetite for Canadian resources are reshaping established trade flows. Canada is not walking away from the United States, but it is actively diversifying. Europe is not standing on the sidelines either. Long-term contracts being signed today could influence industrial competitiveness well into the next decade. For automakers, truck buyers, manufacturers, and consumers, the bigger issue is not aluminum itself. It is securing reliable supply chains that support the next generation of vehicles, energy systems, aerospace products, and advanced technologies. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Do you think the aluminum tariffs are helping or hurting American manufacturing? Should the United States invest more aggressively in domestic aluminum production? And could Europe's growing partnership with Canada permanently reshape North America's industrial advantage? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. As always, don't forget to subscribe to Piston Pundit and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest vehicle updates, industry analysis, and automotive news. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's plenty more to explore.